The moment Maya Fletcher's body sank into the velvet cushion of what she would later learn was a throne. Every conversation in the grand ballroom died. She hadn't meant to sit there. She'd been backing away from a too handsome stranger who'd been asking invasive questions about her blood type. Her heels had caught on the Persian rug, and she'd stumbled backward into the only available seat in sight. The chair itself was magnificent, all dark wood carved with roses and thorns, upholstered in midnight blue velvet that felt like sin against her bare shoulders. For one blissful second, she'd just been relieved to be off her feet. Then came the silence. Maya looked up to find 200 pairs of eyes fixed on her. The gala had been strange from the start, an invitation that had appeared on her desk at the art gallery where she worked, written in actual calligraphy on cream cardstock that seemed to glow faintly in the dark. The Midnight Society cordially invites you to the Founders' Gala. She'd thought it was some eccentric collector's event, a networking opportunity she couldn't afford to miss. She hadn't expected to walk into what looked like a Gothic fever dream. The ballroom was underground, accessible only through a network of tunnels beneath one of Chicago's oldest buildings. Crystal chandeliers dripped from vaulted ceilings, casting everything in warm amber light. Every guest looked like they'd stepped out of a period drama, all pale skin and dark formal wear, moving with an unnatural grace that made Maya's stomach twist with unease. And now they were all staring at her. "I'm sorry," Maya said, starting to rise. "I didn't know this seat was don't move." The voice came from directly in front of her, deep and commanding enough to freeze her mid-motion. A man emerged from the crowd, and Maya's breath caught in her throat. He was easily the most striking person she'd ever seen. Tall, with the kind of presence that seemed to bend space around him. His hair was pure white, falling to his shoulders in a way that should have looked eccentric but instead looked regal. His skin was porcelain pale, making his dark eyes stand out like obsidian chips. He wore a black suit that probably cost more than her yearly salary, and he moved with the fluid certainty of someone who'd never been denied anything in his life. The crowd parted for him like water around a blade. He stopped a few feet from the throne, those dark eyes traveling over her with an intensity that made heat crawl up her neck. Maya gripped the armrests, unsure whether she should stand or apologize or run. Then his lips curved, just slightly. Not quite a smile, but something close. "It suits you," he said. The words seemed to break whatever spell had fallen over the room. Conversation resumed, though at a lower volume, everyone clearly still listening while pretending not to. Maya blinked, convinced she'd misheard. "What? The throne?" He stepped closer, and Maya caught his scent, something dark and spiced like old books and winter nights. "It suits you. Though I admit I wasn't expecting to find someone in it when I arrived." "I'm so sorry," Maya said, finally finding her voice. "I didn't know it was reserved." "I'll move, I told you not to move." His voice was softer now, but no less commanding. He extended a hand, and after a moment's hesitation, Maya took it. His skin was cool against hers, his grip firm. "I am Casimir Draconis. This is my gala, oh God." Of course it was. Maya stood, acutely aware that she was still holding his hand, that his thumb was tracing a small circle on her wrist that sent shivers down her spine. "Maya Fletcher. I work at the Ashford Gallery. We received an invitation, and my boss couldn't come, so she sent me instead." "I see." Casimir's eyes hadn't left her face. "And do you often attend events where you know no one?" "I'm here to network," Maya said, lifting her chin slightly. Something about his intensity made her want to stand her ground rather than shrink away. "Art collectors are notoriously private. If this Midnight Society has the kind of money the invitation suggested, then yes, I'll absolutely attend events where I know no one." Something flickered in his expression, approval maybe, or amusement. Bold. Most humans would have run by now. The word humans hit her like cold water. Maya pulled her hand back, taking a step to the side. "What?" Casimir tilted his head, studying her. "You truly don't know where you are." "A gala," Maya said slowly. "Underground. Beneath the old Hartley building." "You're in the Court of the North," Casimir said, and his voice carried now, projecting to the entire ballroom. Maya saw heads turn, eyes gleaming in the chandelier light. "The heart of vampire society in this territory. And you, Maya Fletcher, have just sat in the throne reserved for the Vampire King." The room seemed to tilt. Maya grabbed the back of the throne for support, her mind racing. Vampires. The invitation that glowed in the dark. The questions about her blood type. The way everyone moved too smoothly, too quickly. The fact that they were underground away from the sun. "Oh God," she whispered. "Don't panic." Casimir's hand was on her elbow, steadying her. "You were invited. You're under protection while you're here." "Protected from what?" Maya's voice came out higher than she'd intended. "Are you going to do you drink blood?" "Yes," Casimir said it so matter-of-factly that Maya nearly laughed. "But we have laws. No one here will touch you without permission. You're a guest, and guests are sacred in vampire culture." Maya looked around the ballroom with new eyes. Every pale face, every too graceful movement. She was surrounded by predators, and she'd just made herself the center of attention by sitting in their king's throne. "I should go," she said. "You should stay." Casimir's grip on her elbow tightened just slightly. "If you run now, you'll look like prey. Is that what you want?" "No," Maya admitted. Her heart was hammering, but she forced herself to take a slow breath. "But I don't exactly feel safe right now." "Then stay by my side." Casimir released her elbow but offered his arm instead. "I am the king here. No one will dare touch what's mine." "I'm not yours," Maya said automatically. That almost smile returned. "A figure of speech, will you allow me to escort you through the evening? I promise no harm will come to you." Maya looked at his offered arm, then at the sea of vampires pretending not to watch them. She thought about bolting for the exit, but something told her Casimir was right. Running would only make things worse. And despite everything, despite the insanity of the situation, she found herself curious. A vampire king, an underground court. This was the kind of thing that happened in stories, not to assistant gallery managers from Ohio. "All right," she said, slipping her hand into the crook of his arm. "But I have questions. I would be disappointed if you didn't." Casimir began to walk, leading her away from the throne and into the crowd. "Though I confess I have questions of my own. Starting with how a human art curator ended up with an invitation to the most exclusive vampire gathering in North America." "Your guess is as good as mine," Maya said. Up close she could feel the coolness of his body through his suit jacket, not cold exactly, but noticeably cooler than a human's. The invitation just appeared. "My boss said it was too good an opportunity to pass up, and she sent you instead of coming herself. She has a newborn at home." Maya glanced at him sidelong. "Why did you send an invitation to a human gallery?" "I didn't." Casimir nodded to a passing couple, both with the same pale hair and dark eyes. "My assistant handles the guest list, but we do occasionally extend invitations to humans who've proven themselves useful or interesting. Donors mostly, or those with rare items to sell." "Donors," Maya repeated, her stomach turning. "Volunteers who provide blood in exchange for money or favors," Casimir explained, his tone clinical. "It's a legal arrangement in our world, with protections for both parties. We're not monsters, Maya, we simply have different needs." A server glided past with a tray of champagne flutes. Casimir plucked two, handing one to Maya. She took it gratefully, taking a larger sip than was probably ladylike. The champagne was excellent, bubbling and crisp on her tongue. "So you rule all these vampires?" she asked, gesturing vaguely at the room. "All vampires in the northern territories of North America," Casimir confirmed. "From the Great Lakes to the Arctic, it's a position I've held for 3 centuries. 3 centuries. Maya nearly choked on her champagne. "How old are you?" "By human reckoning, 412 years. He said it the way someone might say they were 35. "I was turned during the Renaissance in what is now Romania. My maker was an ancient vampire, one of the bloodline founders. When he grew tired of ruling, he passed the throne to me." Maya tried to process that. 400 years. He'd lived through centuries of history, wars and revolutions and everything that had shaped the modern world. And here he was, making small talk at a gala like it was the most normal thing imaginable. "This is insane," she muttered. "Yes," Casimir agreed, "but you're handling it remarkably well. Most humans faint or flee." "I don't faint," Maya said, lifting her chin again, "and you told me not to flee." "So I did." He guided her toward the edge of the ballroom, where tall windows looked out onto an underground garden, lit by artificial moonlight. "Tell me, Maya Fletcher, what do you see when you look at me?" The question caught her off guard. Maya turned to face him fully, studying his features, the sharp lines of his jaw and cheekbones, the fullness of his lips, the way his eyes seemed to hold depth she couldn't fathom. There was something otherworldly about him, yes, but also something compelling. Magnetic. "I see someone who's used to being obeyed," she said finally. "Someone who's powerful and knows it. Someone who's probably very dangerous, but trying not to be right now." Casimir's expression shifted, something warm flickering behind the cool mask, perceptive and accurate. "I am dangerous, Maya. It's important you understand that. I've killed more people than you've met in your lifetime. I've waged wars, destroyed bloodlines, and ruled with an iron fist when necessary. So why are you telling me this?" Maya's grip tightened on her champagne flute. "To scare me, to be honest with you." He set his own glass down on a nearby table. "Because when I saw you sitting in my throne, looking utterly lost and yet defiant, something in me shifted. I want to know you, Maya Fletcher. And I've learned that knowing someone requires honesty, even when the truth is uncomfortable." Maya's heart skipped. There was something in his eyes, an intensity that had nothing to do with hunting and everything to do with interest. Real, genuine interest. "I'm human," she said quietly. "You're a vampire. This can't, whatever you're thinking, it can't work. Can't it?" Casimir stepped closer, and Maya found herself backing up until she hit the wall beside the window. He braced one hand against the stone, leaning in. Not trapping her, but close enough that she could feel the absence of warmth from his body. "You're right that there are complications. Vampires and humans have different lifespans, different needs. But we're not as incompatible as you might think. You drink blood, Maya pointed out, her voice breathless. And you eat meat, Casimir countered. We're both predators in our own way. The difference is, I choose my prey carefully. I feed only from those who consent, and I never take more than is safe. It's possible to coexist, Maya. Humans and vampires have been doing so for millennia. Why me? The question burst out before Maya could stop it. You're a king. You could have anyone. Why are you interested in a human gallery worker who accidentally sat in your chair? Casimir's hand moved from the wall to her face, his cool fingers cupping her cheek with surprising gentleness. Because you're the first person in a century who's looked at me and seen a person instead of a monster or a king. Because you challenged me instead of cowering. Because when I said that throne suited you, I meant it. You looked like you belonged there, Maya, like you were meant to be by my side. Maya's breath caught. This was crazy, absolutely insane. She'd walked into a vampire gala by accident, and now the Vampire King was essentially confessing interest in her. It was the plot of a fantasy novel, not her real life. But the way he was looking at her, the tenderness in his touch despite the coolness of his skin, felt achingly real. I don't know what to say, she whispered. Say you'll stay for the evening, Casimir murmured. Let me show you my world. If you want to leave after tonight, I'll arrange safe passage home and you'll never hear from me again. But give me these few hours, Maya. Let me show you that we're not so different. Maya knew she should refuse, should insist on leaving now, before she got in any deeper. But curiosity had always been her weakness, and Casimir was offering her a glimpse into a world she'd never imagined existed. All right, she said, show me. The smile that broke across Casimir's face was radiant, transforming him from intimidating to breathtaking. He took her hand, lacing their fingers together, and led her back into the crowd. The next hour passed in a blur of introductions. Casimir presented her to his inner circle, each vampire more striking than the last. There was Liana, his second-in-command, with ice-blue eyes and a sharp wit. Theron, the master of the treasury, who looked like a Renaissance painting come to life. Celine, the keeper of bloodlines, who studied Maya with frank curiosity. A human, Celine said, tilting her head. You haven't brought a human to court in years, Casimir. Maya is special, Casimir said simply, his hand finding the small of her back. Special how? Theron leaned forward, his gaze assessing. She smells unusual. There's something in her blood. Theron, Casimir said, his voice dropping to a warning. I'm not threatening, Theron said, raising his hands. Merely observing. Most humans smell appealing, yes, but this one is different, sweeter, richer. Maya's face heated. Are you saying I smell good? Like honey and summer wine, Liana said, and there was approval in her voice. It's rare. No wonder you caught our king's attention. It's not just her blood, Casimir said quietly. His thumb traced circles on Maya's spine, a gesture that was becoming familiar, though I admit her scent is distracting. Maya looked up at him, saw the hunger flickering in his dark eyes, quickly suppressed. He wanted to bite her, she realized. The urge must be there, constant and insistent. But he was controlling it, holding back because she'd asked him to. The realization sent a strange thrill through her. Power, she thought. She had power here, in a way she'd never expected. I've never been bitten, she said, addressing the group. I'd like to keep it that way tonight, if that's all right. Of course, Liana said immediately. You're under the king's protection. No one will touch you, even if they're tempted, Maya asked. Especially then, Theron said with a slight grin. Casimir has a tendency to destroy those who disobey him. We value our continued existence. Casimir shot him a look but didn't deny it. Instead, he guided Maya away from the group, toward the center of the ballroom where couples had begun to dance. A string quartet played in the corner, the music something classical and haunting. Dance with me, Casimir said, and it wasn't quite a question. Maya hesitated. I'm not very good. I've had centuries of practice. I'll lead. He pulled her into his arms before she could protest, one hand clasping hers while the other rested on her waist. Just follow me. The first few steps were awkward, Maya stumbling over her own feet, but Casimir was patient, guiding her through the movements with effortless grace. After a few moments, Maya found her rhythm, letting him lead her through the turns. See? Casimir murmured. You're a natural. You're just a good teacher. Maya dared to look up at him. In the soft light, his features seemed almost human. Almost. Can I ask you something? Anything. What was it like? Being turned? Casimir's expression grew distant, remembering. Painful. Terrifying. I was a soldier dying of wounds sustained in battle. My maker found me and offered a choice: die as a human, or live forever as something else. I chose life even though I didn't fully understand what I was agreeing to. Do you regret it? Sometimes. His honesty surprised her. I've outlived everyone I loved as a human. I've seen empires rise and fall. There's a loneliness to immortality that's difficult to explain. But there's also beauty. I've witnessed wonders, learned things humans will never know. And I've had the chance to shape the world in small ways. Like ruling the vampires. Like ensuring we have laws and structure, Casimir corrected. Without governance, vampires would hunt humans without restraint. We'd expose ourselves and both our species would suffer. I keep the peace, Maya. I protect both our kinds. Maya absorbed that. It made sense in a strange way. If vampires existed, they needed rules to coexist with humans. And someone had to enforce those rules. What happens to vampires who break your laws? She asked. It depends on the crime. Casimir spun her and Maya laughed despite herself. Minor infractions result in fines or public censure. Major crimes, unauthorized killings, exposure of our existence, those are punished more severely. Death? Sometimes. I don't enjoy it, but I won't let our society collapse because I'm too soft to do what's necessary. His grip on her tightened slightly. Does that frighten you? It should, Maya admitted, but strangely it doesn't. You do what you have to do to protect your people. I can understand that. You're remarkable, Casimir said softly. Truly. They danced in silence for a while, moving through the crowd of vampire couples. Maya let herself relax into the movement, into the feel of Casimir's cool body against hers. It was surreal dancing with a vampire king in an underground ballroom, but it was also oddly peaceful. Then she caught movement in her peripheral vision, a flash of something too fast, too aggressive. Maya turned her head and saw a vampire watching them from the edge of the dance floor. Unlike the others, who'd been polite or curious, this one looked angry. His pale hair was wild around his face, his dark eyes fixed on Maya with unmistakable hostility. Casimir, she said quietly. He followed her gaze and his entire demeanor changed. The warmth drained from his expression, replaced by cold authority. Draven. I should have known. Who is he? Maya asked. My former advisor. Casimir's voice was hard. We had a disagreement about policy last year. He left the court in disgrace. Draven pushed through the crowd, stopping a few feet from them. Up close, Maya could see the rage simmering beneath his controlled exterior. Your Majesty, he said, the title dripping with sarcasm. I see you've taken a pet. Watch your tone, Casimir warned. Or what? You'll exile me again? Draven's laugh was bitter. You've already taken everything from me, my position, my status, my honor, all because I suggested we stop coddling humans and reclaim our rightful place as the dominant species. Because your suggestions would have led to war, Casimir said coldly. The humans outnumber us 1,000 to 1. If they discovered our existence and viewed us as a threat, they'd hunt us to extinction. We survive because we hide, Draven, because we're smart enough to coexist. We survive because we're cowards. Draven's gaze slid to Maya and she fought the urge to hide behind Casimir. And now you've brought a human into the heart of our court. What next, Casimir? Will you make her your queen? Will you dilute our bloodline with human weakness? The ballroom went silent. Every vampire in the room had stopped moving, stopped talking, all attention fixed on the confrontation. You forget yourself, Casimir said, his voice dropping to a lethal whisper. Maya is my guest. Any insult to her is an insult to me. Then I insult you gladly. Draven stepped forward, his hand moving to his belt. Maya saw the flash of a blade, silver and wickedly sharp. You've grown soft, old friend. It's time for new leadership. Everything happened at once. Draven lunged, the blade aimed at Casimir's chest. Casimir moved faster than Maya's eyes could track, pulling her out of harm's way while simultaneously blocking the attack. The two vampires collided with a sound like thunder, and then they were fighting in earnest. Maya stumbled backward, caught by Liana, who'd appeared at her side. Stay back, the female vampire commanded, her eyes tracking the fight. Maya had seen movie fight scenes before, carefully choreographed displays of martial arts and special effects. This was nothing like that. Casimir and Draven moved with inhuman speed and strength, their bodies blurs of motion. The silver blade flashed, drawing a line of blood across Casimir's shoulder. He retaliated with a blow that sent Draven crashing into a marble pillar. Stop them, Maya gasped. It's a formal challenge, Liana said grimly. By vampire law, they must fight until one yields or dies. He could die? Maya's chest constricted with fear. He's the king, Theron said from her other side. He's survived worse. But Maya could see the fight wasn't going entirely in Casimir's favor. Draven was younger, faster, and he was fighting with the desperation of someone with nothing to lose. The silver blade found its mark again and again, opening cuts on Casimir's arms and chest. Silver, Maya remembered vaguely from old vampire stories. Silver was poison to them. Do something, she shouted at the watching vampires. We cannot interfere, Liana said, but Maya heard the concern in her voice. To do so would undermine Casimir's authority. He must win this on his own. Maya watched in horror as Draven got inside Casimir's guard, driving the blade toward his heart. At the last second, Casimir twisted, taking the strike in his shoulder instead. He roared, a sound of pure rage and pain, and then he was moving again. This time there was no mercy in his movements. Casimir caught Draven's wrist, twisting until bones snapped audibly. The blade clattered to the floor. Before Draven could react, Casimir had him pinned against the pillar, one hand wrapped around his throat. "Yield," Casimir commanded, blood running down his chest from multiple wounds. "Never," Draven choked out. "Then die." Casimir's hand tightened and Maya heard the sickening crack of vertebrae breaking. Draven's body went limp, his head lolling at an unnatural angle. Casimir held him there for a moment longer, then let him drop to the marble floor. The ballroom remained silent. Casimir stood over Draven's body, breathing hard, looking every inch the dangerous predator he'd admitted to being. Then his gaze found Maya, and something in his expression softened. "Maya," he said, starting toward her. Maya's instinct screamed at her to run. She'd just watched him kill someone, break a man's neck with his bare hands. This was the reality of what he was, not the charming king who danced with her, but the ancient vampire who'd waged wars and destroyed bloodlines. But she didn't run. Instead, she pulled away from Lyanna and Theron and met Casimir halfway across the ballroom. "You're hurt," she said, looking at the cuts covering his body. "I'll heal." Casimir reached for her, then stopped, looking down at his blood-covered hands. "I'm sorry, you shouldn't have seen that. He tried to kill you," Maya said. Her voice was shaking, but she forced herself to stay steady. "You defended yourself. I did more than that. I executed him." Casimir's jaw tightened. "That's what I am, Maya. That's what I'll always be. A king who does violence to maintain power." Maya looked at the body on the floor, at the blood pooling on the pristine marble, at the vampires watching them with careful eyes. Then she looked back at Casimir, at the pain and resignation in his face. "You also protected me," she said quietly. "He called me your pet, threatened you because of me. You could have let him go, but you didn't, because he disrespected me." "Yes," Casimir admitted. "I won't tolerate anyone threatening you, Maya, not even former friends." Maya reached up, cupping his face with both hands. His skin was cool and blood-slicked, but she didn't pull away. "Thank you," she said, "for protecting me." Something like wonder crossed Casimir's expression. "You're not afraid." "I'm terrified," Maya corrected. "But not of you. Of this world, maybe. Of how much danger I'm clearly in just by being here. But you?" She shook her head. "You've been nothing but honest with me. You warned me you were dangerous, and you were right. But you're also controlled. You could have killed him the moment he drew that blade, but you gave him a chance to yield. That means something, Maya." Casimir's hands came up to cover hers, holding them against his face. "You humble me." "I'm just being practical," Maya said, though her heart was racing. "If I panic every time I see something scary, I'll never make it through tonight." A ripple of laughter went through the watching vampires. The tension broke, and suddenly everyone was moving again. Conversation resuming. Two vampires came forward to remove Draven's body while others began cleaning up the blood. "You should attend to your wounds," Lyanna said, appearing at Casimir's side. "The silver poisoning." "I know," Casimir said. He looked reluctant to release Maya, but finally stepped back. "Will you wait for me? I need to cleanse the silver from my system, but it won't take long." "I'll wait," Maya promised. Casimir's smile was brilliant despite the pain he must be in. He brushed his fingers against her cheek, leaving a small smear of blood, then turned and strode toward a side exit. Lyanna went with him, already barking orders at other vampires who hurried to follow. Maya stood alone in the middle of the ballroom, very aware that she was now the center of attention. Slowly, deliberately, she walked back to the throne, Casimir's throne, and sat down in it once more. If she was going to be here, in this impossible world, she might as well own it. The murmurs that went through the crowd were speculative now, curious rather than hostile. A few vampires even nodded at her with what looked like respect. Maya folded her hands in her lap, lifted her chin, and waited for her vampire king to return. 20 minutes later, Casimir emerged from the side door looking completely healed. His clothing had been changed, the blood-stained suit replaced with a fresh one in deep charcoal. He crossed the ballroom with that same liquid grace, but his eyes were locked on Maya sitting in his throne looking like she belonged there. "You," he said, stopping in front of her, "are either the bravest or most foolish human I've ever met." "Maybe both," Maya said. She stood, smoothing down her dress. "How do you feel?" "Better. Silver poisoning is unpleasant, but I've survived worse." He took her hand, studying her face. "You stayed. I said I would. Many humans would have fled after witnessing what you saw." Casimir pulled her closer, until they were nearly chest to chest. "You continue to surprise me, Maya Fletcher." "I'm surprising myself," Maya admitted. She could feel the eyes of the court on them, but found she didn't care. "This whole night has been surreal. I should be home in my apartment, eating takeout and watching television. Instead, I'm in an underground vampire court, having watched their king kill someone." "Do you want to leave?" Casimir asked seriously. "I'll understand if you do." Maya considered it. The smart thing would be to go, to put this world behind her and forget it existed. But when she looked at Casimir, at the hope and uncertainty in his ancient eyes, she found she didn't want to leave, not yet. "No," she said. "I want to stay. I want to understand this world. Understand you. Then come with me." Casimir laced their fingers together. Let me show you the rest of my domain. He led her out of the ballroom and through a series of corridors carved from stone. The underground complex was massive, room after room filled with treasures from across the centuries. There was a library with books bound in leather, some so old they predated the printing press. A gallery filled with paintings and sculptures, several of which Maya recognized from art history classes. A treasury where gold and jewels glittered in the light. This is incredible, Maya breathed, running her fingers along the spine of a book that had to be 600 years old. How long has this court been here? I established it 200 years ago when Chicago was still a young city, Casimir said. He leaned against a bookshelf, watching her explore. Before that, I ruled from various locations across the continent. But I liked the energy of this city, the way it grew and changed. We built beneath it, creating a sanctuary that would last centuries. Do humans know about any of this? A select few. Donors, as I mentioned. Some government officials who help us maintain secrecy. But for the most part, humanity is unaware of our existence. It's safer that way for everyone. Maya pulled a book from the shelf, opening it carefully. The text was in a language she didn't recognize, beautiful angular script covering yellowed pages. Teach me, she said suddenly, about your world, your history. I want to know everything. Casimir moved closer, looking over her shoulder at the book. That's written in Old Romanian. It's a history of the vampire bloodlines, detailing the first vampires and how they spread across the world. The first vampires, Maya repeated. How did vampires start? No one knows for certain. The oldest vampires claim our kind is as ancient as humanity itself, perhaps older. Some believe we're a natural evolution, a predator species that developed alongside humans. Others think we're the result of disease or curse. Casimir took the book from her, flipping to a page covered in intricate illustrations. What we do know is that there are 7 original bloodlines, each with distinct characteristics and powers. I'm of the Draconis line, named for the dragon we're known for our strength and ability to command. There are others like you? Vampire kings, queens, and kings, yes. Each rules a territory. We have agreements, alliances. Sometimes we go to war. Casimir set the book aside. It's not so different from human politics, really. We simply have more time to hold grudges. Maya laughed despite herself. I can imagine. Do you get along with the other rulers? Some. There's a queen in Europe who I respect greatly. We've been allies for 3 centuries. But there's a king in Asia who's been trying to expand his territory for years. We've clashed more than once. Casimir's expression grew serious. It's one of the reasons I value strength in my court. Draven was right about one thing: there are those who would see weakness as an opportunity. And bringing a human here, does that make you look weak? To some, perhaps. But to others, it shows confidence. Only a truly secure king would dare introduce a human to his court. He touched her face again, that same gentle gesture. And as I said, you looked right sitting in my throne, like you belonged there. I'm human, Maya said softly. I'll age, I'll die, you'll go on forever. Not forever. Vampires can be killed, as you saw tonight. Casimir's thumb traced her cheekbone. But you're right that I'll outlive you if you remain human. The implication hung in the air between them. If you remain human. Are you suggesting? Maya couldn't finish the sentence. I'm suggesting nothing, not yet. Casimir's voice was careful. Turning a human is not something to be done lightly. It's permanent, irreversible. And it requires a bond between maker and progeny that's deeper than you can imagine. I won't even consider it until I know you better, until we both know what we want. But it's possible, Maya said. Humans can become vampires, yes, though it's rare in modern times. We have strict laws about who can be turned and under what circumstances. Casimir stepped back, giving her space. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. You've been in my world for only a few hours. Let's not plan your immortality just yet. Maya nodded, feeling oddly disappointed. Which was insane. She'd just met this man, this vampire. She shouldn't be thinking about forever. But there was something about Casimir that called to her. Something beyond his obvious physical appeal or even the intoxication of his world. When she looked at him, she saw possibility, adventure, a life bigger than anything she'd imagined. What would you like to see next? Casimir asked. Everything, Maya said immediately. Show me everything. He smiled, brilliant and genuine, and took her hand once more. They spent the next several hours exploring the underground complex. Casimir showed her the blood bank, where donors' contributions were stored in temperature-controlled vaults. The training rooms where young vampires learned to control their strength and speed. The council chambers where he met with his advisors to govern vampire society. They ended in what Casimir called his private chambers, a suite of rooms decorated in dark woods and rich fabrics. Bookshelves lined every wall, and a fireplace crackled with actual flames, filling the space with warmth. You can have fire down here? Maya asked, gravitating toward the warmth. We have ventilation systems throughout the complex. Modern engineering has its advantages. Casimir poured 2 glasses of wine from a decanter, handing one to Maya. This is where I come when I need solitude. No one enters without permission. Then I'm honored, Maya said, accepting the wine. It was rich and red, warming her from the inside. You should be, Casimir said lightly, but his expression was serious. I've never brought anyone here, Maya, not in all the years I've ruled. Why me? Maya asked, not for the first time. Casimir set his wine glass down, then took Maya's and placed it beside his. He cupped her face with both hands, his cool touch sending shivers down her spine. Because when I look at you I see strength and curiosity and courage, he said quietly. Because you sat in my throne and looked like a queen. Because you didn't run when I killed a man in front of you. Because you ask questions instead of making assumptions. Because in 400 years of existence, I have never wanted to know someone the way I want to know you. Maya's breath caught. Casimir, I know it's fast, I know we've just met. But I've lived long enough to recognize something rare when I find it. His thumb brushed her lower lip. You're rare, Maya Fletcher. You're extraordinary. And I want to explore whatever this is between us, if you'll let me. Maya's heart was hammering so hard she was sure he could hear it. Everything about this was insane. She'd known him for mere hours. He was a vampire, a king, a creature who'd lived for centuries. This couldn't work. It was impossible. But when she looked into his eyes, saw the vulnerability beneath the confidence, she found herself leaning forward. Their lips met in a kiss that was gentle at first, exploratory. Casimir's mouth was cool but soft, moving against hers with careful tenderness. Maya's hands came up to grip his shoulders, pulling him closer. The kiss deepened, heat building between them despite the coolness of his body. When they finally broke apart, both were breathing hard. Maya, Casimir said, his voice rough. Tell me to stop. I don't want you to stop, Maya whispered. I can hear your heartbeat, smell your blood. His eyes had darkened, pupils blown wide with hunger. You're testing my control. Would you hurt me? Never. But I want, he broke off, jaw clenching. I want to taste you. Not to feed, just to taste. It's instinct when a vampire is attracted to someone. Maya's pulse jumped. The idea should have terrified her, but instead she felt a dangerous curiosity. What would it feel like? Pleasure, Casimir said honestly. Vampire venom causes euphoria in humans. It's why feeding can be addictive for both parties. But I won't do it unless you ask, Maya. This has to be your choice. Maya thought about it. Thought about trust and desire and the impossibility of this entire night. Then she tilted her head, exposing the column of her throat. Just a taste, she said. Casimir's control visibly wavered. Are you certain? Yes. He moved with that inhuman speed, gathering her into his arms and carrying her to a velvet couch by the fire. He settled her in his lap, one arm supporting her back while his other hand cupped her neck. If you want me to stop, say so immediately, he instructed. I'll stop no matter what. I trust you, Maya said, and realized it was true. Casimir leaned in, pressing a kiss to her pulse point. Maya felt his lips part, felt the sharp pressure of fangs against her skin. Then came a brief sting as he bit down, and the world exploded into sensation. Pleasure flooded through her, warm and liquid and overwhelming. Maya gasped, her fingers digging into Casimir's shoulders as her body arched against his. It was like nothing she'd ever experienced, better than any kiss, any touch. She felt connected to him in a way that went beyond the physical, as if his bite had created a bridge between their souls. Casimir took only a small amount, his tongue laving over the wound when he pulled back. Maya whimpered at the loss, her body trembling with aftershocks. Easy, Casimir murmured, holding her close. Let it pass. Gradually, the intensity faded to a pleasant buzz. Maya slumped against his chest, boneless and sated. Oh my God, she breathed. I'm sorry, that was selfish of me. Casimir's voice was strained. Don't apologize. That was incredible. Maya looked up at him, saw the blood on his lips, and felt heat curl in her belly all over again. Is it always like that? With the right partner, yes. Casimir's hand stroked her hair. You taste extraordinary, Maya. Like sunlight and honey and things I've been denied for centuries. You can have more, Maya offered, tilting her head again. No. Casimir's refusal was firm. I took enough. Any more would be dangerous for both of us. The bond between vampire and donor can become addictive. I won't risk your safety for my pleasure. Maya wanted to argue but recognized the wisdom in his restraint. Already her head was spinning, her body heavy with exhaustion. The venom must have sedative properties as well as euphoric ones. I should take you home, Casimir said, though he made no move to release her. I don't want to go, Maya mumbled against his chest. You need rest. Proper rest, in a real bed. But his arms tightened around her. Though I confess I'm reluctant to let you go. Then don't. Maya forced her eyes open, looking up at him. Let me stay, just for tonight. I want to be here with you. Casimir looked torn. Maya, if you stay, I know what I'm asking. She reached up to touch his face. I'm not afraid, Casimir. I want to be here. For a long moment he simply looked at her. Then he stood, carrying her effortlessly toward another door. Beyond it was a bedroom decorated in shades of midnight blue and silver. The bed was enormous. piled with pillows and covered in silk sheets. Casimir laid her down gently, then stepped back. I'll sleep on the couch. Don't be ridiculous. This bed is huge. Maya patted the space beside her. I'm not asking for anything except your company. I don't sleep the way humans do, Casimir said. We rest but rarely for more than an hour or two. I just watch you. Then watch me. Maya's eyes were already drifting closed. I like knowing you're here. She heard him sigh, felt the mattress dip as he sat on the edge of the bed. Cool fingers stroked her hair and Maya smiled, letting exhaustion pull her under. When she woke, sunlight was streaming through gaps in heavy curtains. Maya sat up with a start, momentarily disoriented. Then memory flooded back: the gala, the throne, Casimir. The bite, she touched her neck finding only smooth skin. The wound had healed completely, as if it had never existed. It's the venom, Casimir's voice came from across the room. Maya turned to find him seated in an armchair, still in his formal clothes, watching her. It promotes rapid healing in humans. One of the reasons blood donors can give regularly without lasting damage. How long have you been sitting there? Maya asked. All night. I told you, I don't sleep much. He stood, moving to sit on the edge of the bed. How do you feel? Surprisingly good. Maya stretched, feeling well rested despite the strangeness of her surroundings. What time is it? Early afternoon. You slept for nearly 12 hours. Casimir's expression was fond. You were exhausted. 12 hours? Maya scrambled for her purse, finding her phone. Sure enough, it was past 2 in the afternoon. She also had 17 missed calls from her boss and a string of increasingly frantic texts. Oh no. I was supposed to open the gallery this morning. I took the liberty of calling your employer, Casimir said calmly. I explained that you'd been taken ill at the gala and needed rest. She was very understanding. Maya stared at him. You called my boss? I hope that wasn't overstepping. I simply didn't want you to be in trouble because of me. He looked uncertain, an expression that seemed foreign on his confident features. Was that wrong? No, Maya laughed, slightly hysterical. It's fine, thank you. I just can't believe the Vampire King called my boss to give me a sick day. Casimir smiled. I can be quite convincing when needed. I bet. Maya set her phone aside, looking around the room properly for the first time. Heavy curtains blocked most of the light, but enough seeped through to illuminate the space. How are you okay with the sunlight? I'm not. Casimir gestured to where he sat, carefully in the shadows. Direct sunlight would burn me severely, potentially kill me if exposed long enough. But indirect light is tolerable for short periods. These chambers are deep enough underground that the sun can't reach directly. But you can go outside at night, Maya said, remembering the windows in the ballroom looking out on the underground garden. Yes, nighttime is our domain. We're strongest in darkness, weakest in light. He tilted his head, studying her. Does it bother you that I'm bound to the night? No. Just means I'll have to adjust my schedule if we're going to spend time together. The words were out before Maya could stop them, presumptuous and forward. But Casimir's expression brightened. You want to spend more time together? Maya hesitated, then decided to be honest. Yes. Last night was insane and terrifying and wonderful. I don't understand what's happening between us, but I want to find out, if that's okay with you. Okay? Casimir moved closer, taking her hands. Maya, I've been hoping you'd say that. I know this is complicated, that our worlds are vastly different, but I haven't felt this alive in centuries. You make me feel human again in the best possible way. Maya's chest tightened with emotion. I make you feel human and you make me feel like I'm living in a fairy tale. A dark, dangerous fairy tale, but still. We can take this slowly, Casimir said. I'll court you properly if you'll allow it. Dinners, conversations, time to truly know each other. No pressure. No expectations beyond enjoying each other's company. I'd like that, Maya said softly. They spent the rest of the afternoon in his chambers talking. Casimir told her stories from his long life, battles fought, cities explored, changes witnessed. Maya shared her own much shorter history growing up in Ohio, her love of art, her dreams of one day managing her own gallery. I'll make it happen, Casimir said when she mentioned that last part. You want your own gallery? I'll fund it. Absolutely not, Maya said firmly. If I get my own gallery, it'll be because I earned it, not because a Vampire King bought it for me. Casimir looked surprised, then approving. You have pride, I respect that. I have boundaries, Maya corrected, and one of them is that I don't want to be a kept woman, human or otherwise. Noted. Casimir raised his hands in surrender. Though I reserve the right to support your dreams in other ways. Introductions to collectors, perhaps. Or advice on the business side of running a gallery, that I can accept, Maya said. As evening approached, Casimir insisted on escorting her home. They traveled through the underground tunnels, emerging in a parking garage several blocks from the original entrance. A sleek black car waited, a driver standing by the door. You have a driver, Maya said, amused. I have many staff members. Being a king requires delegation. Casimir helped her into the back seat, sliding in beside her. Where do you live? Maya gave her address and the driver nodded, pulling smoothly into traffic. The ride to her apartment building was quiet, both of them aware that their time together was ending, at least for now. When they pulled up outside her building, Casimir walked her to the door. In the fading twilight, he looked even more otherworldly, his pale skin and white hair seeming to glow. "Can I see you again?" he asked. "Tomorrow night?" "Yes," Maya said without hesitation. "But maybe somewhere less courtly? I'd like to see what you're like outside of your official role, a casual date." Casimir's smile was warm. "I think I can manage that. I'll pick you up at 8. Perfect." He leaned in, pressing a chaste kiss to her cheek. "Sleep well, Maya Fletcher. You too. Or rest well. Whatever vampires do." His laugh followed her into the building. Maya climbed the stairs to her third-floor apartment, feeling like she was walking on air. Once inside, she collapsed on her couch, staring at the ceiling. She was dating a vampire. The Vampire King. It was absolutely insane. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. When she opened it, she found a message that made her smile. "Already missing you. Dream of me." Maya saved the number under Casimir and replied, "I have a feeling I won't be dreaming of anything else." The next several weeks fell into a pattern. Casimir courted her with old-world intensity, taking her to dinners at exclusive restaurants, private concerts, art galleries that opened after hours just for them. He showed her more of his world, other vampire courts, though none as impressive as his own. He introduced her to allies and friends, ancient vampires who treated her with respect because she was under Casimir's protection, and slowly, carefully, they fell in love. It wasn't just the grand gestures or the access to his incredible world. It was the small moments. The way Casimir listened when she talked about her day. Genuinely interested in the mundane details of human life. The way he challenged her in arguments, clearly delighting in her sharp mind. The way he held her when they kissed, like she was precious and fragile and strong all at once. Maya learned his moods, his preferences, the subtle tells that indicated when he was stressed about vampire politics or simply tired from daylight exposure. She learned to read the vampire court, to navigate the complex social hierarchies and understand the undercurrents of power. And Casimir learned her too. Her love of impressionist paintings and jazz music, her fear of heights and spiders, her tendency to overwork herself, forgetting to eat or sleep when absorbed in a project. He adapted to her human needs, keeping his chambers stocked with food and arranging his schedule around her daytime obligations. 3 months after that first night at the gala, Maya was sitting in her apartment when her boss called with unexpected news. "There's a collector interested in meeting with you," her boss said, excitement clear in her voice. "He specifically asked for you, Maya. Said he was impressed by your knowledge of Renaissance art." "Who is it?" Maya asked, though she had a suspicion. "A Mr. Theron Sylvanus. He represents several private collections in Europe." Maya bit back a smile. "Theron, Casimir's treasurer, of course. I'd be happy to meet with him," she said. The meeting happened 2 days later. Theron arrived at the gallery dressed in an impeccable suit, looking every inch the wealthy collector he claimed to be. Maya led him through their current exhibition, discussing techniques and provenance with practiced ease. "You have an excellent eye," Theron said when they finished, "and extensive knowledge for someone so young." "I studied art history in college," Maya said, "and I've been working in galleries for 5 years. Still impressive." Theron pulled an envelope from his jacket. "I have a proposition for you, Miss Fletcher. One of my clients is looking to establish a gallery in Chicago, focused on European masters. He needs someone knowledgeable to manage it, someone who understands both the art and the business." Maya took the envelope with shaking hands, opening it to find a formal job offer. The salary listed was triple what she currently made. She couldn't finish the sentence. "A legitimate offer," Theron said. "My client has the resources and the collection. He simply needs the right person to bring it all together. You're that person, Miss Fletcher, if you want the job." Maya looked at the offer, at the dream being handed to her on a silver platter. Then she looked at Theron, seeing the knowing glint in his dark eyes. "Did Casimir put you up to this?" she asked quietly. "Casimir suggested I meet with you," Theron admitted. "But the offer is genuine, Maya. I've been authorized to establish a gallery for some time. I simply hadn't found the right person to run it. After hearing about you from Casimir, after doing my own research, I believe you're ideal for the position. I don't want special treatment because I'm dating him," Maya said, "and you won't receive it. This is a business arrangement, nothing more. You'll be expected to perform, to turn a profit, to build a reputation. The fact that you're involved with our king is irrelevant to your professional qualifications." Theron's expression softened slightly. "Though I will say Casimir is deeply invested in your happiness. If this position makes you happy, he'll be pleased. But the choice is yours, Maya. No one will think less of you if you refuse." Maya looked at the offer again, reading through the details. The position was real, the responsibilities exactly what she'd been working toward her entire career. This wasn't Casimir buying her a gallery, it was an opportunity earned through her own knowledge and skills, facilitated by connections she'd made through him. "I'll take it," she said. Theron's smile was genuine. "Excellent. I'll have the contracts drawn up immediately." That night, Maya met Casimir at his private chambers. He was waiting for her with champagne and a spread of human food, bread, cheese, fruit, all her favorites. "I heard you accepted Theron's offer," he said, pulling her into his arms. "Congratulations, Maya. You've earned this." "Have I?" She looked up at him. "Or did you arrange it?" "I introduced Theron to the idea of you," Casimir admitted. "But everything after that was his decision. He wouldn't have made the offer if he didn't believe you were qualified. And the success or failure of the gallery will rest entirely on your shoulders. I've promised to stay out of the business side." "Good." Maya kissed him, tasting the champagne on his lips. "Because I intend to make this work on my own merits. I wouldn't expect anything less." Casimir's hands slid up her back, pulling her closer. "You're magnificent, Maya. Every day I marvel at your strength and determination. Every day I marvel that this is my life," Maya said honestly. 6 months ago I was drowning in debt, working a job with no prospects for advancement. Now I'm managing my own gallery and dating a vampire king. It's surreal. "Is it too much?" Casimir asked, concern flickering in his eyes. "We can slow down if you need." "No, it's perfect." Maya cupped his face, marveling as always at the cool smoothness of his skin. "You're perfect." "Far from it," Casimir murmured, but his expression was pleased. "Though I strive to be worthy of you." They spent the evening celebrating, talking about plans for the gallery. Casimir had insights into the art world that came from centuries of observation, and Maya found herself taking notes, excited to implement his suggestions. As the night grew late, they ended up on his couch by the fire. Maya curled against his chest while he read aloud from a book of poetry. It was peaceful, domestic in a way that shouldn't have worked given their vastly different natures. "Casimir," Maya said during a pause in his reading. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything. Do you ever regret it, being a vampire?" He was quiet for a long moment. "Sometimes I miss the sun. I miss the simplicity of human life, the urgency that comes with knowing your time is limited. But I don't regret the experiences I've had, the things I've seen. And I don't regret being here now with you, even though I'm human, even though I'll age and die while you stay the same." "Maya." Casimir set the book aside, turning her to face him. "I've been thinking about that, about us and the future." Maya's heart started to race. "And I want you to understand something. What we have, what we are building together, it's rare. In 400 years, I've never felt this way about anyone. You're not just a passing fancy or a momentary distraction. You're everything to me, Maya." "You're everything to me too," Maya whispered. "Then I need to tell you the truth about what that means in vampire society." Casimir took her hands, his grip firm. "When a vampire bonds with someone, truly bonds, not just casual affection but deep, lasting love, it's called a soul bond. It's permanent, unbreakable. And it changes both parties." "How?" "For vampires, it creates a need to protect, to possess. We become intensely territorial about our bonded partner. For humans," he hesitated, "if the bond is strong enough, it can extend their life even without turning. My blood, taken regularly in small amounts, could slow your aging significantly. You'd still be human, but you'd live for centuries rather than decades." Maya's mouth went dry. "Is that what's happening to us? Are we bonding?" "I believe so. I feel it every time I'm near you, this pull that goes beyond physical attraction. When you're away, I feel incomplete. When you're in danger, even hypothetically, I become irrational with the need to protect you." Casimir's voice dropped. "I'm falling in love with you, Maya. I may have already fallen. And if you feel the same, if we complete the bond, it will tie us together for the rest of your life at minimum. And if I wanted longer?" Maya asked, her voice barely audible. "If I wanted forever?" Casimir's eyes widened. "You'd consider being turned?" "I don't know, maybe, eventually." Maya's mind was racing. "I love being human, Casimir. I love the sun and food and the warmth of my body. But I also love you. And if being with you means eventually choosing between mortality and immortality, I think I already know which I'd pick." "Don't decide now," Casimir said urgently. "This isn't something to rush into. Being turned is irreversible, Maya. You'd be giving up everything human about yourself. But I'd have you," Maya said simply. "And isn't that the point? Finding someone worth sacrificing for." Casimir pulled her close, burying his face in her hair. "You undo me," he said roughly. "You absolutely undo me." They held each other in silence for a long time, both processing the magnitude of what they'd discussed. Finally, Maya pulled back enough to look at him. "I'm not saying I want to be turned right now," she clarified. "I want to live as a human for a while longer, experience my gallery, see what we can build together. But eventually, Casimir, I want forever with you, however that looks." "Then you'll have it," Casimir promised. "For as long as you want me, I'm yours." "Good." Maya kissed him, slow and deep. "Because I'm not letting you go." The gallery opened 3 months later to critical acclaim. Maya had curated a stunning collection of Renaissance works, several on loan from private vampire collections that Theron had facilitated access to. The opening night was packed with collectors, critics, and art enthusiasts, all eager to see what the new gallery had to offer. Casimir attended, of course, arriving after sunset with Liana and several other members of his court. They blended seamlessly with the human guests, their pale appearances written off as aesthetic choices. Maya watched him move through the crowd, fielding questions about various pieces with the authority of someone who'd lived through the periods in question. "Your king is quite knowledgeable," a human collector said to Maya, nodding toward Casimir. "I had no idea he was such an art expert." "He's full of surprises," Maya said with a smile. By the end of the night, Maya had secured 3 major sales and a dozen potential clients. Theron looked pleased, Casimir looked proud, and Maya felt like she was floating. "You did it," Casimir said when the last guests had left. He pulled her into his arms, spinning her around. "Your gallery is a success." "Our gallery," Maya corrected. "I couldn't have done this without your support." "Your talent," Casimir said firmly. "Your vision. Your hard work. I simply provided resources." "The success is yours, Maya." She kissed him, ignoring the catcalls from Liana and the other vampires who were helping clean up. "Thank you for everything." "Thank me by staying exactly who you are," Casimir murmured against her lips. "Brilliant, stubborn, magnificent you." The months that followed were some of the happiest of Maya's life. The gallery thrived, her reputation grew, and her relationship with Casimir deepened into something unshakable. She learned more about vampire society, attending court functions and building relationships with other vampires. Some remained wary of her humanity, but most accepted her as Casimir's partner, treating her with the respect that position commanded. She also learned more about the soul bond Casimir had mentioned. She felt it every day now, that pull toward him. When they were apart, she felt his absence like a physical ache. When they were together, the world felt right in a way nothing else did, and she learned about vampire blood. Casimir had been giving her small amounts, just a few drops in wine once a week. It was enough to slow her aging without changing her fundamental nature. Maya noticed the effects within months. She recovered from illness faster, her skin seemed to glow, her energy levels increased. "You're going to live a very long time," Casimir said one night, studying her face with satisfaction. "Long enough for us to build something extraordinary together." "How long?" Maya asked. "With regular infusions. Potentially centuries. You'll age, but slowly. By the time you reach what would normally be old age, you'll still look and feel like you're in your 30s or 40s. And then," Maya pressed, "when I do eventually start to decline, then we'll discuss turning, if you still want it." Casimir's expression was serious. "But that's a conversation for decades from now, Maya. For now, let's just enjoy what we have." Maya agreed, settling back against his chest. They were in his private garden, an underground paradise lit by artificial moonlight. It was peaceful here, away from the court and the gallery and all their various responsibilities. "I love you," she said, the words coming easily now. They'd been saying them for months, but they never lost their power. "I love you," Casimir replied, pressing a kiss to her temple. "My heart, my soul, my everything." 1 year after that first night at the Gala, Casimir threw another party. This one was specifically for Maya, a celebration of her gallery's 1-year anniversary. The underground ballroom was packed with vampires and humans alike, both worlds coming together to honor her success. Maya wore a gown that Casimir had commissioned, deep emerald green that brought out the color of her eyes. She felt like a queen as she moved through the crowd, accepting congratulations and discussing art with enthusiasm. Then Casimir appeared at her side, taking her hand. "Come with me," he said. "I have something for you." He led her to the throne, his throne where she'd sat that first night. But now it was different. Beside it stood a second throne, identical in design but upholstered in deep green velvet that matched her dress. "Casimir," Maya breathed. "What is this?" "Your throne," he said simply. "If you'll accept it." Maya looked at the chair, understanding the significance. A throne meant position, meant permanence. It meant she wasn't just his partner but his equal in the eyes of the court. "You're making me your queen," she said slowly. "I'm asking if you'll consider it," Casimir corrected. "You've already won the respect of my court through your own actions. This would simply make official what everyone already knows, that you belong by my side." Maya looked at the assembled crowd, at the vampires watching with curiosity and approval, at the humans who'd become her friends and allies. She looked at Casimir, at the hope and love in his ancient eyes. Then she sat down in the green throne. The ballroom erupted in applause. Casimir's smile was brilliant as he sat in his own throne, taking her hand and bringing it to his lips. "My queen," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "My king," Maya replied. Yana stepped forward, carrying a small box. She opened it to reveal a circlet of silver and sapphires, delicate but unmistakably a crown. "For the Queen of the North," Liana said, her usual sarcasm replaced by genuine warmth. May you reign wisely and well. Casimir took the circlet, placing it gently on Maya's head. It fit perfectly, the cool metal settling against her hair like it belonged there. How does it feel? Casimir asked quietly. Right, Maya said, surprised by her own certainty. It feels right. They spent the rest of the night enthroned, receiving well wishes from their subjects and allies. Maya felt the weight of her new position, but also the rightness of it. She'd found her place in this impossible world, carved out a space that was uniquely hers. Later, when the party had wound down and they were alone in Casimir's chambers, he held her close. You know this changes everything, he said. I know. I'll have responsibilities now, official duties. You'll also have enemies, Casimir warned. Not everyone will be happy about a human queen. There may be challenges, attempts to undermine your authority. Let them try, Maya said, lifting her chin. I've handled worse. Casimir laughed, the sound full of pride and affection. Yes, you have. You sat in my throne and said it suited you. You watched me kill a man and didn't run. You've faced down ancient vampires and built a successful business and won the respect of beings who've lived for centuries. You can handle anything, my fierce queen. Our fierce queen, Maya corrected with a smile. I belong to the court now, not just to you. You'll always belong to me, Casimir said, but his tone was teasing. Just as I belong to you. Forever, Maya asked. Forever, Casimir promised. They sealed the vow with a kiss, deep and passionate and full of promise. Outside, the court celebrated their new queen. But inside this room, it was just them, vampire and human, king and queen, two souls bound together across the divide between their worlds. Years passed. The gallery expanded, opening a second location. Maya's reputation grew until she was known as one of the foremost experts on Renaissance art in North America. She managed her human life and her vampire responsibilities with equal skill, becoming a beloved figure in both worlds. The soul bond between her and Casimir deepened until they could sometimes feel each other's emotions, sense each other's thoughts. It was intimate and occasionally overwhelming, but neither would have given it up for anything. Maya aged slowly, the vampire blood in her system keeping her young and vital. By the time 5 years had passed, she looked no different than she had that first night at the gala. By the time 10 years had passed, she'd stopped aging entirely, frozen somewhere in her late 20s. It's the bond, Casimir explained when she asked. Our connection is strong enough that my immortality is bleeding into you. You're not fully vampire, but you're not entirely human anymore either. Something in between, a hybrid, Maya said, testing the word. A queen, Casimir corrected. My queen for as long as we both exist. There were challenges, of course. Vampire politics could be vicious, and Maya had to learn to navigate threats both subtle and overt. There was a coup attempt in year 3, led by a faction who believed humans had no place in vampire leadership. Casimir crushed it ruthlessly, but not before Maya had proven herself by negotiating a crucial alliance that turned the tide in their favor. There were also moments of grief. Maya's boss, the woman who'd sent her to that first gala, grew old and passed away. Maya attended the funeral, one of the few times she ventured out in full daylight. Casimir waited for her in the car, unable to follow but offering silent support through their bond. This is the hardest part of immortality, he said when she returned, her eyes red from crying. Watching humans you care about age and die. How do you bear it, Maya asked. By honoring their memories, by living fully in the time we have with people, and by finding others who last like you. He pulled her close. You're my anchor, Maya. The reason I remember why our coexistence with humans matters. But despite the challenges, the grief, the complications, Maya never regretted her choice. Every morning she woke up or returned home, depending on whether she'd spent the night in Casimir's chambers or her own apartment, she felt grateful for this impossible life. On the 10th anniversary of that first gala, Casimir took her back to the ballroom where it all began. It was empty now, quiet, lit only by a few candles. Do you remember? He asked, leading her to the throne, now their thrones sitting side by side. How could I forget? Maya touched the velvet cushion of what had once been his throne alone. I sat here completely by accident, surrounded by vampires I didn't know existed, terrified and trying not to show it. And I took one look at you and knew my life was about to change, Casimir said. He pulled her into his arms, swaying to music only they could hear. You were so beautiful, so defiant. I'd been alive for 400 years, but in that moment I felt like I was truly seeing for the first time. It suits you, Maya quoted, smiling at the memory. That's what you said, and I meant it. You suited that throne then, and you suit it now. You suit this life, this world, this impossible existence we've built together. Casimir cupped her face, his thumbs brushing her cheekbones. I love you, Maya Fletcher. I've loved you from the moment you looked at me and saw a person instead of a monster. I'll love you until the stars burn out and the world ends. I love you too, Maya whispered, tears pricking her eyes. My vampire king, my impossible, wonderful, maddening love. They kissed in the empty ballroom, surrounded by memories of that first night and all the nights that had followed. When they finally pulled apart, both were smiling. "What do you want for the next 10 years?" Casimir asked. "More galleries? Travel? We could visit the European courts, show them what the Queen of the North has accomplished." "I want everything," Maya said. "Every adventure, every challenge, every quiet moment. I want to keep building our life together, keep surprising each other, keep falling more in love. I want forever, Casimir, however that looks, whatever that means. As long as it's with you, then forever you'll have," Casimir promised. He took her hand, leading her to sit in her throne. Then he sat in his own, their fingers still entwined between the two seats. "My queen, my heart, my eternal love, my king," Maya replied. "Now and always." They sat together in the candlelit ballroom, vampire and human, king and queen. Two souls bound across impossible divides. Outside, the world continued on, unaware of the magic that existed beneath Chicago's streets. But here in this moment they had everything they needed. Love, partnership. Forever. And it had all started because Maya accidentally sat in the Vampire King's reserved throne at a gala. And he'd looked at her and said the 3 words that changed her life. "It suits you." Looking at Casimir now, seeing the love and devotion in his ancient eyes, Maya knew the truth. This life, this love, this impossible fairy tale they were living, it suited them both perfectly, and it would continue to suit them for centuries to come. 2 hearts beating as one across the infinite expanse of forever.